Hi, I'm Simon, and I'm the project manager for interVaal. interVaal is developing UriGuardian. UriGuardian is a next generation Foley catheter designed to prevent the occurrence of catheter-associated urinary tract infections, and thus making healthcare more cost-effective and efficient for everyone, and more importantly, saving lives in the process. So even in the most advanced healthcare systems, such as the United States or in Europe, patients continue to develop new infections while undergoing other treatment. That is, that they are already sick and get a new infection because they're receiving hospital care. Most particular among that is catheter-associated urinary tract infections, also known as CAUTI. In severe cases, CAUTI not only leads to extended hospital stays and cost, but can even result in patient death. In the US alone, over 13,000 annual deaths were attributed to CAUTI. And that's where interVaal comes in. We are developing UriGuardian. UriGuardian is a new generation Foley catheter with a bio-inspired design. Specifically, I mean our buffer zone, which re-enables the body's natural and effective defense mechanism against urinary tract infections. And all this without any procedural changes. Thus UriGuardian is an easy to use and reliably effective way to prevent CAUTI.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Shum from the Department of Surgery, Woodlands Health Campus in Singapore. Urinary tract infection is one of the most common healthcare-associated infections. In the United States, up to 3/4 of these hospital infections are linked to the use of the urinary catheter. In Singapore, 1 out of every 6 patients in the general ward has a urinary catheter in them. Catheter-associated urinary tract infections, also known as CAUTI, is a major source of morbidity and inconvenience among our patients. CAUTI is also a significant financial burden for the healthcare sector. The estimated attributable cost of each case of CAUTI is over $1,000 in developed countries. There are many reasons why CAUTI happened. One of the main contributors to CAUTI is the formation of a bacterial layer on the surface of the catheter, known as the biofilm. It is very difficult to eliminate the bacteria from within this biofilm, and it's a matter of time for the bacteria to move along the surface of the catheter into the patient's body to cause an infection. Another main reason for CAUTI to happen is the loss of the physiological flushing action of urine. When a patient is on a catheter, the urine will come out in small drops instead of the usual voided volume of about 300 mL. To address these issues, a new catheter has been designed from the strong collaboration between the National Healthcare Group Singapore, the NHG Centre of Medical Technologies and Innovations, and Trendlines Medical Singapore. The new UriGuardian catheter has a different design that tackles CAUTI at its pathogenesis by disrupting the continuity of the biofilm as well as by simulating the physiological flushing action of urine. The new catheter has undergone benchtop testing as well as preclinical studies, and I'm excited to test its safety and efficacy in human subjects in an upcoming clinical study.
Like any other startup, interVaal faced many challenges through the development process. Most notable and probably most universal was identifying all the product success requirements as early as possible and integrating them into our development plan. In interVaal's case, as a healthcare company, we help mitigate this by having very close collaboration with clinicians, most particularly Dr. Shum from Cheuk Hospital here in Singapore. In addition to that, we did considerable research on the individual market requirements for our kind of products. And we also sought out experts who could give us their opinion and guidance on how to develop our kind of products, particularly with its nuanced manufacturing processes, and successfully bring it to market. An additional challenge is related to that, and that's knowing when a product is good enough to bring to market. As I'm sure many other startups know, the to-do list of things to do in terms of product development is always very long. And as development goes on, it all just continues to get longer. And what's important to realize, and usually this comes from the business side of the business, is that not all of these quote unquote product requirements are actually required for the product to be commercially successful. So it's important to understand what is the minimum requirements needed to make the product viable to go to market, and setting that as the primary goal. And then anything else you add on is just additional sweetener for the product. interVaal's progress so far, and likely our continued success in the future, is greatly dependent on the external resources we've received along the way. Most notable is a network, connections, specifically to experts, whether that be in production, regulatory affairs, quality assurance, markets, or the clinical usage. The fact of the matter is, our startup, much like most startups, have very high information needs. So there's a lot of unknowns that we need to investigate and get to the bottom of. And to think that we can do it all by ourselves is foolish. We need experts, and a lot of them. And through our connections with Trendlines Medical Singapore, Enterprise Singapore, as well as the National Healthcare Group, we've been able to make the connections to appropriate people to get to the answers we need. And this would certainly continue in the future. An additional resource that we've received is financing. Everyone needs financing. And for us, we have received our fair share from our incubator as well as Enterprise Singapore. And in the near future, we'll be undergoing another round of financing where we hope to bring in more third-party external investors.